Preparing live stream. Ishan, record the session, please. All right, we are all muted.
Hi, Radhika. Good luck.
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. All well.
All right. So, should we start with our session today?
Yes, please.
All right. My name is Radhika Kakkar, and I'm a therapist at MindSmith. And today is the first um, live episode, or I don't know, session.
Radhika, you're on mute.
Okay. Am I audible now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So I was saying today is the first session for Wellness Wednesdays, and the topic for today is revenge bedtime procrastination. So before I dive deep into what revenge bedtime procrastination is, I would go for what exactly procrastination the word means. It's putting off work that we promise ourselves that we will definitely do because it feels negative. It's associated to negative feelings. So the reason why we procrastinate our tasks or responsibilities is because our brain perceives it as a threat. So any negative emotion that we feel, our brain assumes that it's something threatening, and that's why we feel negative towards it. So procrastination is related to different domains in our life, be it our finances, our academics, our career, and now it's also focused on our sleep. So imagine being so overwhelmed with our daytime activities, responsibilities, that we only have time for ourselves at night. So imagine being a new mother with an infant who has a very different schedule of sleeping and waking up. So you have no time for yourself because you're a caretaker, you're caring for your baby. And the only time you have for yourself is when the baby's sleeping. So you tend to do things to stay awake instead of sleeping. So you have some time for yourself. So you have some sort of control over your time of the day. So the whole concept of revenge bedtime procrastination was coined in China. So the Chinese laborers had a 9 to 9 work timings. So they started their uh, work from 9 a.m. and it ended at 9 p.m. So such a hectic schedule where they were controlled in a controlled environment. They had certain responsibilities. They had to do work for someone else. They had no time for themselves. So they would go back home. They would have food. They would only have time to spend with their family maybe for an hour at most. Imagine having such a tight schedule every day. So those laborers tended to sleep very late because that's the only time they had for themselves. That that was in a way revenge towards their daytime responsibilities. The whole term was coined in 2014 in a Frontiers paper. So there was this study, there was an online survey where they associated that people who scored lower on self regulation were reported to have more bedtime procrastination. So, bedtime procrastination can be inactive and active. So, active bedtime procrastination is because you actually have something to do and somehow you're pushing your bedtime. Basically, you may have a lot of work to be done. Your work tends to push towards like 11, 12 p.m. And that disrupts your whole sleep schedule, your sleep cycle. But the inactive bedtime procrastination was seen in people that they knew uh, that if they sleep later, if they were doing whatever they were doing, it would disrupt their sleep, it would have effects on their health. They would still doing it because they didn't have time for themselves during the day. It wasn't because they were busy with something, it was just because the whole schedule was out of their own control. And okay, so I also want to focus on the same research. They extended it after 4 years. They also focused how it wasn't only lack of self regulation, but also the biological disposition. So we have always heard that, oh, I'm a night owl, yeah, I'm an early riser. So every person has a different biological disposition, or you can say different chronotypes. Some people have a different way of waking up and sleeping. They have a different schedule that is biologically fit for them. So some people are naturally night owls. And we live in a society which is basically scheduled for early risers. So, in a world which functions only for early risers, night owls find it difficult to have time for themselves. In a life cycle, a schedule where 10 p.m. is the normal, the healthy sleep schedule, a person who thrives at night, who has the most productive energy at night, would feel they're actually disrupting their physical health and mental health because they just want some time to themselves. So I want to ask all of you, are you an early riser or a night owl? Anyone?
I think I am an early riser,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to be a night owl. Like, but it was because I would not get time for myself. So, like you mentioned, that you want time to yourself, and that is the reason why you are a night owl. So that's the reason why I used to be one.
So are you saying that you stayed up at night because you didn't have time for yourself during the morning, or was it because you just felt more productive at night?
It was because I did not have time for myself throughout the day.
All right.
So I
Okay.
would take
And
out time for myself at night.
okay. And did it have any effect on your daily routine whenever you used to wake up in the morning?
I would wake up very groggy in the morning
Mm-hmm.
because of incomplete sleep, broken sleep.
I see. Okay. And anyone else?
I think for a long, long time, I used to be such a procrastinator because I would look for that time when I could just be by myself, read something, listen to music, the time alone, because I was unable to build solitude during the day with work. And back then, raising a child who was very young, who depended on me. So I just needed that extra few hours, didn't know when that 1 hour turned to two and then three. So back then, not much social media about 10, 12 years back, but definitely a lot of late night television. And the next morning, I would wake up feeling so drowsy and feel so it was a cycle of guilt, shame, because I was like, oh, damn, I'm an adult. I should be sleeping on time. And next morning, guilt would strike me that, I'm not doing a good job if I'm not regulating my life, and then again it would start. So and then of course it took a long time, fixed it. It's one of the hardest things to do, is what I can say.
Most definitely. Would you also say that that whole schedule of staying up late at night was more impulsive rather than more being in control of your own schedule?
So I think, and that's a very interesting question you asked, because whether it is impulse or compulsion or impulsivity, but I think I was looking to control some time. So it
Mm.
definitely came out of this need to control some bit of time for myself.
Okay. That makes sense, definitely. Anyone else who wants to share?
I think I, for the longest, have been a night owl. I cannot wake up early. It just makes me feel tired and exhausted the entire day. So I have to have my, as Sindhu was mentioning, I think the night time for me is like my time, me time, when I'm not in touch with anybody else. I can actually do what I want to do. I can watch something, I can read something, I can study. But during the day, there's this constant social interaction, which after a point starts to make me feel personally very drained. So by the end of the day, I want some me time, and that's something that I get when everybody else is asleep and not in the need to get in touch with me. And yeah.
Definitely. I've seen so many people tell me that during the day, sometimes even if they're not busy with their work or the college or any sort of responsibility, sometimes they just feel that there's too much interaction, too much noise, too many people around, so that they cannot be themselves. They can't do what they actually want to do. For example, I have this friend, he's a musician, and he tells me that he cannot work on his music during the daytime because he can hear his parents in the background. His parents don't disrupt him or anything. He can feel someone being awake or doing their thing in the background. So he usually just works on his music after 11, 12. He stays up till 5 a.m. He wakes up at 2 p.m. And it works for him because he has been doing this for a very long time and it produces a lot of productive work, which aligns with his work. I also want to discuss about just bedtime procrastination. Some people just find going to bed just absolutely the worst because they just have this anxiety of waking up the next morning. They don't want to face the next day, so they procrastinate going to bed. Has anyone of you ever experienced that?
100%.
Can you share something with us?
I mean, for me personally, like, I think at least used to be more of a night owl, especially when back when I was in college, when I had to study, get assignments done, I had to study for a midterm, etc., etc., etc. It was always like, again, because I think I would get distracted so easily in the day, or like just casually, I feel like I'd want to like hang out with someone. I don't know, college had its own share of distractions, but like regardless, when the world was sleeping is when I was my most productive self because all the distractions
Mm.
were gone, right? Everyone's knocked out, or there's nowhere to go, there's no one to talk to because everyone's asleep. That is when I'd be my most productive self. And I was always a last minute worker. This is one more thing. Like I always worked better under stress, and I was always this last minute worker. So before exams, I got used to pulling all nighters because that's when my focus would be optimal. I know it's very
Mhm.
unhealthy, I don't promote it at all, but personally I think I was always looking for a distraction free environment. And even during the day, if I was sitting in the library, even then, if someone was say opening a chocolate bar, or walking around, or I saw a familiar face, I'd easily get so distracted. Also, like, full disclosure, I have ADD, so that contributed to it.
Oh,
But
definitely.
so before I was diagnosed, I think this is how I coped with it. I'd always make sure I was working during a time when I wouldn't be distracted, eliminate all distractions so I could focus on what needed to be done.
Actually, interestingly enough, I've read a lot of research papers where they highlight the exact fact that women with ADHD have a very high chance of bedtime procrastination.
Makes sense.
I
But
mean,
yeah,
yeah, definitely. The could distraction and anxiety play a part in the whole process where you just couldn't do anything because you were constantly your focus just kept on going towards anything else, or was it because you had this anxiety that some person might be looking at you while you do your own work?
that also, to some extent, there was a time when I was a little vanity conscious, I won't lie, so I wanted to like look a certain way even when I was studying. But I think the anxiety about the next day had more to do with the fact that I had a deadline approaching which I hadn't met, which is also why I think I would always procrastinate my bedtime, right? Because I had to get the work done, and I'd rather finish it before I go to sleep, so at least I can go to sleep not knowing I'm going to wake up stressed or that I have to wake up early, right? So my wake up time wouldn't change, but my bedtime would, because I would
Mm.
rather go to bed stress free. That was always like a common thing for me. I wouldn't want to leave something for the morning. I hated waking up in the morning.
Okay, so Saurabh writes that I used to be a night owl mostly because I had nothing to do early morning. Now, because I have to wake up early around 7 a.m., my habit automatically changed. Definitely, if we have some sort of goal that we are looking forward to, or we have some sort of responsibility, somehow our schedule changes very, like
Hmm.
it takes a 180 turn. But even then, even for some people, even if they have to wake up in the morning and they don't have time during the day, they tend to just be on their phone, or they might binge on Netflix or read a book till 5 a.m. It doesn't matter. Okay. Um, right now, right about during this, I won't say generation, but at this moment, a lot of people are on their phones instead of sleeping. It focuses on revenge, bedtime procrastination, but the core focus is on self regulation. We are unable to regulate ourselves, so we tend to go towards distractions. So, and phone is the easiest one. We can just scroll through Instagram or Twitter or read a book online. It doesn't matter, whatever we're doing, it's just an easy distraction. We don't have to regulate ourselves, and it's also an impulsive decision to make. We just tend to be on our phone for hours.
Mm.
So, I
Radhika,
want
do
to
you think it could be when a lot of anxious people who haven't, due to anxiety, been able to productively solve a problem or stop the intrusive thoughts? Do you think nighttime gives them this false sense of control that, right now, by overthinking, I am actually solving something? Can overthinking itself be seen falsely as a problem solving mechanism?
For some people, it might, but overthinking could also push them towards distractions. I mean, at night, we are all alone. We don't have a lot of people around, so we could just talk to them or distract ourselves. We have to sit with our thoughts. And
Mm,
for an anxious person, you cannot escape your anxious thoughts. Sometimes it could be problem solving, but most of the time, it's intrusive. It really
mm,
messes up. It could lead to staying up all night just thinking about those thoughts. Okay. Uh, for most people, staying awake and finding distractions, be it making up scenarios in their mind to escape from certain emotions, be it anxious or excitement. I mean, for example, I think so most of us have experienced not being able to sleep right before an exciting event. You're not trying to delay your sleep, you just are not able to self regulate. So that is happening. I mean, that is bedtime procrastination somehow. Some people do tend to just move around, or they press their clothes, or they keep on thinking, did I do that or that? Kal sab kuch theek ho gaya hai nahi? You're delaying your bedtime because you know as soon as you're in bed, you will just start thinking about the event. Definitely. Right before traveling, for example, I remember as a kid, right before going on board, going on an airplane, I would get so excited, I wouldn't be able to sleep till 3 a.m. I just wouldn't be able to self regulate myself in that way. And at the same time, after a very stressful day, some things just don't leave your mind. So you end up distracting yourself on the phone, laptop, with your work, anything. Anything would work. So that is bedtime procrastination. Um, has anyone, okay, I have talked, I mean, everyone has experienced some sort of revenge, bedtime procrastination. But I want to ask anyone who has joined, whoever hasn't talked about their experiences, can you tell me if you're an early riser. I have seen a lot of night owls over here. I want to talk to someone who's an early riser and who
I'm
has experienced bedtime procrastination. Yes.
So I wanted to be an early riser since a very long time, but it's not happening. I've been a nighttime owl like since I was 15, like after school ended, because all my friends were like, "Up, school is done now. We can stay up all night. We can chat. We can do this. We can have fun." So that started. That's how it started, and then ever since then. It's lessened a lot, but I'm not able to like sleep on time or sleep like by 10ish, 11ish and then wake up early. But I've been wanting to do that since a very long time.
You're saying you want to be an early riser, but you can't help it. You're a
Yeah,
night owl, I guess.
I am. I
I'm
want
a
to change
fresh
that so
convert.
bad.
Does that count? I'm a fresh convert. When I say fresh, the last 7, 8 years, I've converted to an early morning riser, and it's dramatically impacted my life in a positive way.
That's amazing.
Definitely. Then you are an early riser.
Now I am converted.
Definitely. I mean, for me, I go from an early riser to a night owl in weeks. I mean, it just changes all the time. So I don't know what exactly I am. Okay. All right. Um, okay. Let's talk about some other thing, I guess. I just want to ask. I actually lost my... Hello? Am I audible?
Yeah, we
Okay.
can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Okay. I wanted to talk about how revenge bedtime procrastination actually affects you. I mean, okay, let's talk about the science of what exactly is bedtime procrastination and how it could actually manifest in your life. A person who actually knows that they're going to have negative effects in the morning, or they know what actually they can sleep, they have no environmental interference with the sleep, yet they decide to stay awake, do something else that could contribute to their me time. And yet they know that there is going to be a negative consequence. Um, for a lot of people, they engage in this time to time because it's not something that happens consistently. They choose to stay up late or just delay their bedtime. Um, um, I just wanted to ask everyone okay, what exactly, how did you feel when you woke up after a very long night, as in you stayed up till maybe 4 or 5? I want to ask how exactly your mood was impacted the next day. Or if there's someone here who has stayed up late for a very long time, maybe for years, and it may have impacted their health after a very long time.
Yeah, I agree with Saurabh. I think, the day goes for a toss. I personally have had sleep issues for years, and being a night owl and someone who wakes up early, but like I'd wake up at 5:30 after going to bed by like 3, but not like the functional kind of awake, just awake. All
Mhm.
therapists, I know you might be diagnosing me. uh it's just been a habit also, regardless of the situation. Just putting that out there. It was just, how sometimes people say aankh khul jati hai. So
Uh-huh.
that's just something that's always happened. It's always around 5 6 in the morning, but those aren't really productive hours for me. I still stay
Mhm.
where I am. I stay put. But yeah, that's been an issue. But I can see how when you don't get a good night's sleep, it can significantly ruin your day. Because I mean, maybe till the afternoon you may last, but after that you start feeling brain dead.
Yeah. I think the worst aspect for me was that my HbA1, the diabetes reading worsened. So it
Okay.
was so bad because I had to get on insulin. I was not sleeping well. When you're staying awake till 4 every day, thinking that you are carving out time to take revenge against this new role you've taken upon, right? So when revenge hits you back in the face, it hits you hard. So I was obviously randomly walking around the house, tiptoeing and grabbing midnight snacks. And that will naturally lead to not just weight gain, but also insulin levels will change in the body. So it was terrible because physical health suffered, other than what other people may have shared about mental health, like you're irritable, you're looking for coffee, or you're going to kill someone, all of that, but physical health too.
Physical health really impacts
Yeah.
you. A person who stays up late for a very consistent amount of time, they are more prone to more cardiovascular diseases,
Right.
obesity, diabetes,
Right.
a lot more things. And again, what Seher said over here, um, there's a difference between having sleep issues and procrastinating. So a person who procrastinate may not actually have a sleep issue. They might be sleepy, they just delay their sleep. A person who actually has sleep issues, they try to sleep. They do tend to distract themselves because they just can't sleep, but they actually have an issue. It's not just a revenge or a procrastination issue. So, okay. Apart from all that, I want to ask the whole trend about staying up late, binging on Netflix, as you said, going out for midnight snacks. What do you think media has to contribute to staying up late, especially in the new generation? How has it become a trend? And do you think it would actually pass or would it just stay on? I just want to know your opinion. Is procrastination becoming the new cool, or it could be like very trendy right now? Anyone?
Have you seen that ad, Swiggy and Zepto ka, that says craving midnight snack? Swiggy it. They're actually promoting this. And you
Yeah,
should order in more, you should eat at midnight. It's completely normal, it's completely healthy, it's fine. Order from us. That's actually they're promoting it. I think it's a very this trend, harmful.
definitely.
Yeah, and most gaming things are launched midnight. I've just
Yeah.
realized that new gaming things are always launched midnight or weird hours, across the world. So I'm not talking time zone difference only. The media is promoting this for sure.
Definitely. Um, I mean, I've seen so many people just staying up late just because they want to catch up or just be there whenever something is launched or posted online on social media. They want to be the first ones to like, comment, or share, or want to be the one who avoids the whole this was spoiled for me because I was not awake. This whole trend or this whole cycle of staying awake, people have um, people say nowadays, met and talked to so many people who say that sleeping is boring. The whole night routine, they just avoid it because they feel sleeping is boring for them. They would rather stay awake and do more productive things because productivity is highlighted so much. It's given so much of importance that sleeping is put at the back seat and it's not important because आप क्या ही कर रहे हो? You have nothing to give to the world or gain for yourself.
Radhika, it's so interesting that you highlighted. I've never actually thought of it that way till you just mentioned it. But media promotions and, like Sindhu said, video games being launched at like midnight and stuff. It takes me back to this time when I was like crazy about shoes and collecting shoes, or this particular pair of shoes that I wanted to buy. And it was launched at a very odd hour. It was like 3 a.m. or something. And like I remember I was like, I have to stay up because otherwise, like, if I don't, it's just going to be sold out. And now looking back at that, it was like, why couldn't they just launch it like 8 or 9 in the morning? Why was it 3 in the morning? So like I never thought of it that way. I was just, but yeah, you're right. That's
I mean,
But the
interesting that
there's
you
general
highlighted that.
perception, do you realize in kids also? I mean, I have a 15-year-old. I realize there is so much of peer pressure to stay awake at night and
mm,
connect, because daytime is for nerds, it's for boring people. So the whole perception is that daytime people, kids who get up on time, go to school, come back, have a routine, must be so boring and lame, right? So the peer pressure is there that how can you be disconnected and socially isolated when we are up? So even though in our house we have a strict policy of internet being switched off and everybody being in bed on time, I have realized lately that he feels left out from the whole connection with his peers because of this, and therefore he's rebelling against it now. So there we've had conversations. So it's the whole idea of cool exclusivity. Daytime is for boring people.
Especially in social settings. I mean, if even right now in the youth, partying all night is considered cool, but being at home tucked in your bed by 10, 11 p.m. is boring. It's for boring people. You don't have a social life if you don't stay out late at night. So it's all, I mean, be it social media or actually having a social life, everything is connected to having a particular staying up late. I mean, even for example, I don't know why, but Akshay Kumar, the actor, he's known for having a very strict schedule. He wakes up at 4 a.m. and sleeps before 10 p.m. He doesn't go to parties, he doesn't socialize because all of the socializing events happen after 9 p.m. So, okay. Okay, so Saurabh said, okay, yeah. He was in Spiti Valley recently after sunset. There was nothing to do. We slept by default. Yeah, definitely. I mean, every city, every place. Okay, anywhere. Okay, adults, wherever they socialize, everything is after 8 p.m., 9 p.m. It has to, be it parties or socializing events, meetings, anything. In many Asian countries, after work, going out for drinks, it starts at 8 p.m. And you have to do it because out of compulsion, because it's a company event.
Hmm.
So such small, small things actually contribute to your deferring sleep schedules. You cannot stick to your a sleep schedule, even if you are having a healthy one. You just have to socialize with people. You have to have a social life. So you can't help it. You
Yeah.
have to interact that way.
I
Right.
also, I just wanted to add, I also feel there's so much addictive nature to this entire life that we get during the night. So a lot of risk taking and impulsive behavior tends to happen also during the night hours and makes us feel addictive to it. So as simple as gambling, getting, doing all of these online gambling, or like going out partying, um consuming alcohol. I mean, you would hardly find people partying and dancing their heart out during the daytime when they're partying compared to when they would go outside during the night. And they would not think a lot about, consuming alcohol or any other substance for that matter. So I also feel that staying awake in the night can also be very addictive like that.
Wait, so do you think it's all a ploy by capitalistic society
Could
to
be.
raise like a bunch of us humans completely sleep deprived?
Could be, because I mean, we're not having, like, today we are having this conversation with Radhika and Mindsmith, but I haven't had people talking about procrastination and revenge sleeping. Like, we've never had these conversations. We just
Hmm.
keep talking about other things, but hardly people talk about all of this and how it
Right.
impact us. So yeah.
Hmm.
Definitely. And also, the whole concept of not just procrastination, but the revenge part of it. I just feel, I don't know, like the whole concept, as Mehak said, the addictive nature. At night, your inhibitions, your impulsivity, and your self control depletes comparatively to daytime. So, anything that you do at night, you have less self regulation, self control over it. So, it's easier to indulge in addictive behaviors at night. So, that comes with staying up late, doing anything but sleep. And when you're not sleeping and you're doing something productive, it actually um, has a positive reinforcement. You get that feeling, a good feeling. It adds on to your dopamine that you have done something for yourself, and that action just keeps on repeating because of that good feeling. All right. I just want to ask if anyone else has anything to add about this topic.
I'm sorry, I know I'm only getting in on this conversation late, but I didn't want to cut you off earlier. But it's interesting that you mentioned your generations and all, because I mean the older generations, they didn't have access to technology, right? The way we do, or the way younger generations do now. The age at which a kid gets a cell phone, it's obviously
Mhm.
reduced, compared to like my time, and so on applies to like older generations as well. And like Sindhu mentioned, the peer pressure. I personally remember when I first got a cell phone, I could easily stay up all night just talking to my friends, right? Because in the day you don't have the time, but obviously
Mm.
being a teenager, you want to be involved in everything. You want to talk to people. It's an interesting time as it is, adolescence. But to add to that, yeah, like no one wants to really feel left
I
out. And
wonder, I'm just thinking out loud, Sarah, based on what you just said and Radhika's been talking about. What if we had a basic skill of assertion as human beings where we could tell people we needed time by ourselves during the day? Like right now, I'm just thinking out loud and reflecting on the postpartum times, or when I was raising my son. And during that time, my revenge procrastination was probably at its worst. If I had the assertion to share with the family, then look, I need couple of hours just by myself. Or if a child could say that I don't want to do my homework, I don't want to do this, I really want to talk to my friends right now. Do you think the culture of procrastination would change, or revenge would change?
I mean, the revenge could definitely change because you will be taking time out for yourself, first of all. And the procrastination would get affected because for some time you actually are doing something that is giving you positive emotions.
Yeah.
You are getting motivation to do something later on. That is
Hmm.
only if you make sure to make that a goal. After you have done something for yourself, make sure that
Hmm.
you also complete this. So it doesn't
Hmm.
become a distraction, it becomes something that motivates you instead.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So this was pretty much it for revenge bedtime procrastination. I hope you all take some time out for yourself during the day so you don't end up sleeping very late, and take care of your mental and physical health.
Thank you, Radhika, for doing this. It was such a wonderful session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for interacting. Thank you for your experiences, whatever you have shared.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you, Radhika.